right out of the gate, people are probably thinking, why do we have a career coach at a summit for entrepreneurs? Well, the truth is that not every entrepreneur is full-time. Some of us are still leveraging the information that we're learning in our corporate spaces so that we can launch into our personal spaces and be great. Some of us are still not sure what we're going to do, and we're still dipping our toe into the side hustle. And some of us are still fully immersed in our full-time jobs, and we are just trying to see what is next for us. And so I think it is a really important conversation for all of us to have about planning and the significance of learning and understanding what strategies mean and what a tactical approach is to execution. And so that is why I am here, and I am really excited. I hope you can tell by my face that I'm really excited to talk to all of you. So I am going to jump into these slides. There's not a lot of information on the slides, but it will help us set the pace. And if you're taking notes, this will provide you a little bit of context so that you're able to jot some things down as I move along. All right. All right, again, like I said, today we are going to talk about maximizing your potential with a good, lock solid plan. Again, I am Paquita Goodwin. I empower individual contributors to convey their value, to dismantle limiting mindsets, to negotiate their salaries, y'all, because I believe we should not leave a dime on the table, position themselves for their next opportunity, and grow. Again, I am a certified professional career development coach. I am also a technical project manager and a certified Scrum Master. So a lot of what I will be talking about today will relate back to a lot of my formal training and a lot of my corporate work. All right, let's jump into these slides. So first of all, the power of a plan. Again, I mentioned before that I am a certified Scrum Master. I'm also an Agile enthusiast. I love all things Agile, whether it be DevOps, whether it be Scrum, Kanban. The reason that I love these approaches so much is because of the concept of continuous improvement. One of the great things about continuous improvement is it allows you to learn as you go. Contrary to traditional project management, waterfall methods, what the Agile framework really allows you to do is to be able to look at the work that you've contributed, look at the things that you've developed, and if they're not working, if they're not built to design, you can go back and change things. Within traditional waterfall, there's just no space to go back and change things. It just has a major impact on budget, on time, on cost, all of those things. And so you need to go through the entire process. And then once you get to the end of the process, you will figure out what was wrong. And Agile just creates a safety net for you to do that along the way. And we'll talk about that more as we get further into our conversation. But the framework also focuses on the increment, which is the smallest part or the bite-sized chunk. The combination of agility and mindset allows teams to focus on a few essential tasks, recognizing the outliers and actions that no longer provide value, and remove those things that are unnecessary, so that we're not just focusing on just doing a bunch of activities, and even if they're no longer serving us, we continue to do them. We all know that that is the definition of insanity, and we want to walk into our next opportunity completely whole, focused, and free of any kind of clutter. So again, as a project manager, my planning and organizational strategies have been paramount to the success of my project and my project team, my development team, my Scrum team, anyone who is involved in delivering the end result. These strategies have really been essential to our success. And so today I want to focus on the core values of what your plan really needs to have, and that is clarifying your why, defining your what, and preparing for how. All right, our first step is to ask why. One of the reasons why we need to understand why, asking why is so essential, is because it provides you with some rationale and intent. It really helps to give shape to the endeavor that you're getting ready to embark on. Asking why also sets an expectation. It doesn't allow you to go too far outside of the lines, and it doesn't allow you to just start getting confused and just start picking up random ideas along the way. If the goal is for us to build a house, then we need to be really clear type of house that we want to build. You can't say that I want my house to have a bunch of different features and the specs of the building itself just won't accommodate all of those features. So again, setting expectation helps us to frame in our thoughts and frame in our ideas and set some guardrails for us. It also lays the foundation for the goal, because again, your why is not the goal. The why really is your bulleted list of trying to figure out what is it that we're trying to accomplish. But the goal will get revealed as you continue to kind of ask yourself those questions and peel back the layers, and just so that you get to the meat and potatoes of why it is that you're starting whatever it is that you're getting ready to start. The last thing is that asking why anchors you to the big picture. Again, if we're trying to build a house, we are looking at a specific foundation for a specific type of building. We're looking at specific building materials, and we're looking at certain trades and craftsmen that will be a part of the building process. So making sure that we are anchored and fully connected to the big picture, because again, as part of our plan development, we have to be committed to the details and the aspects of our plan. And so we want to make sure that we understand why we're getting started on this journey so that we could really be anchored and firm in what our decisions will be going forward. So first, ask why, you guys. So our next thing is defining the what. Now, listen, what is really the biggest part of the plan? I have worked with so many development teams that this is where the conflict comes in, because part of your what are your requirements. And so those are the things that maybe the business or whoever is funding this effort, they've got their input on what the what should be. The development team, because of their experience, their speed, their knowledge of whatever the processes are that they have to follow, they've got some ideas on what should be. As the project manager, the business analyst, the scrum master, the product owner, whatever your role is in that process, you've got some idea in what should be as well. And so all of us need to be able to come together and really kind of hash out the details of what the actual scope of work is going to look like. Now, think about this more personally, if it's a career strategy, or even if it's just the strategy for developing your business model. What type of customer are you targeting? What's the messaging that you have for your product or your service? As you're trying to identify that, here is really where we start to clearly shape and define what the big picture is for all of us. And so in that, the what should follow the SMART guideline. SMART guideline is really about SMART goal definition. That is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time boxed. And so let's kind of rest right here on this slide and really kind of unpack what the SMART acronym means and how it applies to you defining what your end result, what the scope of work is, what the big picture is for your specific plan. So first up is specific. That means exactly what it sounds like. It's not vague. It's very targeted. Someone other than you or someone other than a member of your team is able to understand, ascertain, identify exactly what it is that you are trying to accomplish. So a great example I like to use is something that's probably familiar to most of us. It's our weight loss and fitness goals. Instead of saying, I want to lose weight, that is not specific, but saying I want to lose 15 pounds, ... that is a specific part of your weight loss goal. It needs to, again, it just needs to make sense to people outside of your head, right? Most of the time we are thinking through kind of our plan metrics and our plan definitions. If it's in our head and we're not able to really explain it to anybody else, it's not going to be a great goal. It's certainly not going to be targeted. It's going to be hard to measure it. You cannot time box it. It needs to make sense. It needs to be crystal clear. All right, the next one is measurable. Again, once you have defined a specific part of the goal, how do you measure success? So again, going back to our weight loss example, I want to lose 15 pounds by March 15th, 2022. That makes it measurable because now you've attached a targeted end date to when you have to identify what success looks like. And success is by March 22nd, or whatever the date I just said, 2022, you've lost 15 pounds. That is how you measure success, because you have attached a date, which allows you to create a roadmap. The next one is achievable. Can you realistically lose 15 pounds post the holiday season at the end of the first quarter? Now, that ain't none of my business. I know for me, I can't. This is not, because we're going into Christmas and I am a dessert connoisseur. So I don't even, like, one year, I'm digressing. One year, my doctor, after the holiday, suggested that I lose 10 pounds. And I was like, no, you're going to have to catch me like right at the top of second quarter when we can talk about it. I'm not doing it in first quarter. It's not going to happen. I'm still in my stretchy pants. Anyway, but can you do it? Can you actually achieve or accomplish the goal that you set out? The very specific goal that you've attached a measurement to, can you do what you said that you would do? Is it realistic? Again, achievable and a goal being realistic are married to each other. Is this realistic for all of the conditions that will be created as a result of you trying to attempt this goal by this particular date? And so the goals being realistic and your ability to accomplish them, those also will touch other areas that have nothing to do with the goal. Your time. Do you actually have the time to hire a trainer? Do you have the time to commit to a workout schedule? Will people around you that you have to prepare meals for, will they support the change in dietary needs or whatever the case is? So you have to look kind of holistically as you're building out the goals, right, that will feed into your plan, to make sure that all the conditions around will support your ability to accomplish what it is that you set out to accomplish. The next one is the time box. Again, let's going back to it being measurable. The time box says all of the tasks that you've laid out in front of you, can you complete all of the tasks as defined by the date that you have said that you needed to be able to measure success? So think about, again, our weight loss goal. What is it that what will it take in order for you to successfully lose 15 pounds in the right way, right? So maybe there are some complete life changes that you need to make. Maybe there are some doctor's visits that need to be built into your existing schedule. Maybe now you need to make adjustments to get up earlier. Maybe your workouts will be in the morning. If you have children, you need to make adjustments in their schedule so that you can maintain your fitness plan. Now you're also probably logging your food or meal planning. So that's definitely going to change your DoorDash habits or whatever the case is. So now you've got some new activities that you're bringing in, but you're also offloading some activities because you're replacing maybe some older or some bad habits with kind of these new routines. And so as you're looking at the new time box, how much time are you planning to devote to this new fitness lifestyle? So if we're thinking maybe 5 days a week, you're working out 3 days a week, but 5 days a week, you're doing meal planning and all of these things. Now you've got to look at your complete schedule. How many pounds are you planning to lose per week? When do you have a check-in? When do you meet with your trainer? And I may be making things up because, again, I don't have a trainer. Like, that's not my ministry. And one day it might be, but today ain't that day. But if those are some of the things that would be brought into a fitness plan, what does that look like? Whatever the trainer's schedule is, if he's got open times and you don't have those times, or maybe you're going to a fitness class or something to that effect, think about how you're going to be able to make all of those adjustments to complete those tasks within that set time. The time box is nothing more than you being able to complete the task to get you to the next milestone within a certain amount of time, right? The time box. So again, the goals for your plan need to be specific. They need to be clear and concise and understood by someone other than you or someone other than your team. They need to be measurable. The goals in your plan, you need to be able to clearly see what success is and when success is reached based on a specific date. They need to be achievable or attainable. Can you actually do what it is that you said that you would be able to do? They also should be realistic. They need to make sense. Again, this marries with whether or not the goal is achievable. It needs to make sense. It needs to be something that you can actually do and you can complete as the task have been defined. And I keep saying as the task have been defined because you will need to build out exactly what this is supposed to look like to you. Sometimes we avoid planning because we really don't want to put the work in upfront to be able to see the results that we want to see. People just think that taking time to just write things out and plan them accordingly, it's just too much work because they already know that they're not going to commit to it. And that's fine. That's why we're talking about this today, because you'll see at the bottom of the screen, it says commitment ensures completion. I know that there is a popular saying, I've seen it on social media quite a bit, that says, don't change the goal, change the plan. Listen, the plan is the goal. The plan is the goal, y'all. The strategy, I love saying strategic planning because I'm a strategic planner, but at the end of the day, it's kind of redundant. It really just means I'm a planning planner, right? Strategy is the plan. Your strategy is the what part of your plan, the tactical aspects of that strategy. It's the how. How are you going to accomplish it? How are you going to execute? That's the doing. That's not where the commitment should be. The commitment really needs to be in the what, in the plan itself. Once you put your hand on the plow, don't look back. Don't I don't know if this was a good idea. Once you started down that path, we're on the journey. So you just have to keep walking forward. And listen, the aspects of the plan that need to change, again, I'm an agile enthusiast. Agility means to be flexible. And so once you start immersing yourself in the steps, in the plan, you will start to see parts of the plan that just don't work. It needs to change. Or maybe there are parts of the plan that you have to fall back on, or you need to delegate, or you need to bring in additional resources, or there are just parts of the plan that maybe you need to reschedule them because it's not realistic for you to do it right now. Thus, it's not achievable because you can't measure success by the date that you set because you just don't have the capacity to do it. All right. So again, defining the what to make sure that your effort is clear, defining the scope of work, and make sure that your what is following the SMART guideline. All right, let's move on to this next slide. This is where we will jump in to talk about preparing for how. This is really focusing on, again, that tactical approach, your execution or your delivery model in the details of your plan. This is really where my agile enthusiasm comes into play. I have it right here in bold. Agility is key. And the reason for that is simple. First of all, we need to focus on the increment. The increment is the smallest part. You may have heard a phrase that says, focus on the low-hanging fruit or the easy wins. That's the increment, the smallest thing. What is the least amount of work that you could do to get yourself started? I'm pausing so y'all can answer that question. What is the smallest activity that you can actually do to get yourself started down this path to get you closer to the goal? Because I don't want in all of this conversation for us to get lost and think that I am just simply talking about you planning for the sake of planning. Planning is about creating a goal, creating a model for yourself to actually get from one point in time to the next point in time. We execute a plan every day. We just don't know it. Maybe because it's not our plan that we're executing. Maybe it's the plan of somebody else. And that is a different conversation for another day. But if this is a plan that you know that you have to take, you have to put some stock and energy into it because, again, you've asked yourself why. Why is this a significant moment for me? Why is it time for me to make a transition or to do something different, to see myself in a different space or in a different opportunity, to see my business kind of moving further down the line, to see some changes for my family, to see some financial growth, just to get some mental clarity, to see myself in a place where I'm just at peace with whatever situation that I'm in, to just find myself happy. That just doesn't fall out of the sky. Sometimes you really have to be very intentional and purposeful about how you're going to see your life evolve and how you're going to see the things around you evolve. And so again, agility is key. Your ability to be flexible and to make decisions, to maybe not make a decision. You have to be willing to do that. Focusing on the increment, the smallest thing that you can possibly do to start seeing those changes. What does that look like for you? This is all part of your tactical strategy or defining your how. Remember to work smart. Remember the goals that we just set on the previous slide. Remember that they were specific. Remember the days or the months or the time that you put on your calendar to say that you wanted to see some changes. Remember, only do what you know that you can do. Don't bite off more than you can chew. My favorite phrase is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And of course, nobody's trying to eat an elephant. I don't even think, like, do people eat elephants? I don't know. But listen, that's not the point. The elephant is just, it is a huge symbol of what we try to do, especially us as women. We try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders all the time, as if that almost has become a badge of honor for us to become downtrodden and resilient. It's great to be resilient, but sometimes I just don't want to be resilient. Let me rest. Let me just rest. And so remember to work smart. If you can't achieve what it is that you set out to achieve, then guess what? You've taken on too much work. So you got to scale it back. What can I put off to the side so that I can reach my health goals? What area needs to be sacrificed so that I can take care of myself? Who do I need to tell no to? So, and listen, y'all, no is a complete sentence all by itself. You don't have to add nothing else to it. You owe nobody any additional information or additional descriptions or explanation or details unless you want to offer that information. So remember to work smart. If you do it, you can't do it. And you're not making any crazy adjustments so that you can try to accommodate things that do not add value and do not pour back into you. part of the planning process is about being restored. It is about your own personal restoration. And I know that y'all thought that I was just going to come in here and give y'all a project management class 101, but no. Not at all. I want you to think about yourself kind of as a whole person, not kind of, completely as a whole person. You're not just a mom. You're not just a wife. You're not just an employee. You're not just a business owner. I heard someone, they were talking a couple of weeks ago, they were doing an interview and they said, keep in touch with your friends who knew you before you got married, before you had kids, before you got the big job, before you started bringing in all the money, because they know you as Kiki from the block, or they know you as Shay, or they know you as whatever. They knew you when you had no responsibilities, when you only thought about yourself and the kind of cereal you were going to eat in the morning for breakfast. They knew you back then when you didn't have all these extra cares in the world, where you didn't have to be resilient. You were just you. If you can't handle the work that's in your plan, if it's robbing you of being you, guess what? It shouldn't be in the plan. It's not fruitful. It's not adding to you. It's robbing you of precious moments and precious opportunities to live. And this entire conference, it's called Can I Hold Your Hand? For the simple fact that we no longer as women want to continue to socialize a narrative that we have to do it all. We don't have to do it all, y'all. We do not have to do it all. Remember when you remember when you were in elementary school and your fifth grade teacher, she was like 35 and she looked like she was like 80? Y'all, we don't want that testimony anymore. We do not want that testimony anymore. God's desire for us, that we are able to live an abundant life. And abundant living does not mean that we are carrying everybody's burdens, and walking around here, I'm resilient and I'm proud. No, boo, you need a nap. So if you cannot achieve what's in the goal, take it out of the plan. It doesn't belong there, okay? Keep only what has value. Y'all, I've already been talking about this. Only what has value. If it is not building you, if it's not restoring you, if it's not adding to your future, if it's not pushing you across the finish line or helping you be great or greater than the moment that you're already in, it no longer has value. Take it out of the plan. Or at worst case, demote it. Demote it from being the priority that you think that it is. Because listen, maybe taking care of that relative is a priority, but you have other relatives that can probably chip in. And so you can focus a little more time on your own family. Sometimes a lot of our traditions and belief systems, a lot of the thoughts that keep us bound in spaces that we don't belong in, they don't even belong to us, right? There's somebody else's thoughts, but we've taken ownership of those thoughts and we've allowed them to ground us indefinitely. Keep only what has value, only the things that are going to promote you to do good works, only the things that are going to inspire you, only the things that are going to help you to grow, to develop, to shine, to flourish. If those things are not part of your plan, or if they are part of your plan, remove them. It's your plan. It is your plan. Again, commit to what works. The things that will work for you sometimes will not work for everybody else. And let me tell you something. That's not your problem. You can feel free to allow yourself to have whatever experience that you need to have in this process. And if it doesn't work for other people, then they have just identified themselves as an obstacle. And so now you need to make decisions about how you handle obstacles. And we know how to handle obstacles. We'll talk about it in the plan. We'll talk about it as we keep moving forward. But make sure that you are only committing to the things that work. Again, if it's adding value, if it's helping you get closer to the goal, then yes, you want to keep it. You want to make space for it. You want to make time for it. It's okay to sacrifice other things to make sure that you can continue to do more of what works. And then the last thing for preparing for our how is to give yourself permission to trust your own judgment and your own experience. Y'all, I don't know how many times I have said this to a client that I've worked with, or just to a fellow coworker who feels like, people don't acknowledge that she knows enough about the space that she's in to be able to make certain decisions. You've had enough experiences to know that you just don't like bitter things, right? You've had enough experiences to know that if you touch a hot pot, you might get burned. You don't have to sit and wait around for somebody else to tell you, that's on fire and you should probably not go in that direction. You know that heat is hot. Like there's no magic formula to you figuring that out. So you have to really just allow yourself and your own personal experiences to help guide your decisions as you move forward in your planning process. Because again, the value comes in from the things that you've learned, from the experiences that you've had, from the opportunities that you've already witnessed, the things that you've already seen. So you have to just be able to trust yourself. And I know that we live in a space, a lot of us live in a space where we feel as women that we need to be validated. Either we are literally validated by someone else, or they have to say that they like our work, or they have to co-sign something that we're involved in order for it to be great. Listen, sometimes you are just going to have to walk all by yourself. And it's not even that you're walking by yourself because no one else thought that there was enough value or worth in the journey that you were taking. Sometimes people are just afraid to be judged for doing something different. Like sometimes free thinking is just such a random anomaly that people just don't want to be involved. But I would encourage you, if I could share anything with anybody, I encourage you to trust yourself enough to take your own journey, even if that means that you are taking your journey alone, because you're really not taking it alone. You're just walking out a path so that when I come up behind you, I don't have to chop down trees, or I don't have to pave my own road. You've already done that for me because you were committed enough to your own value, to your own path, to your own process that you were involved in to create a path for me. So it makes it easier for me and young women and girls and our daughters to come up behind us. So I encourage you, don't let the lack of affirmation from external voices keep you from moving forward. You have to believe that you already have the power and the authority to do exactly what you need to do to take you where you need to go. If you remember nothing else today, remember this: everything that a tree needs to become a tree, it's already in the seed. I can't do anything additional to make a tree a tree. When the seed falls to the ground and it touches the soil and it receives the rain, it's going to grow up to be a tree. Whatever kind of tree it was going to grow up to be, it was already in the seed. Nothing about what I could say to the seed was going to make it into a motorcycle. It's going to be a tree. So be the tree that you're supposed to be. Bars. I'm just messing with y'all. Okay, let's go to this next slide. All right. Inspect what you expect. Where is the Hammond B3 organ when I need it? I will say that one more time. Inspect what you expect. That means take a moment to make sure that you are still on the right path. In Agile, in Scrum, in Kanban, we call this the retrospective. So the retrospective happens at the end of every time box. So this is really like milestone planning and road mapping. So again, if your date to lose the weight that you've already said for yourself is at the end of the first quarter of next then you need to have some checkpoints along the way so that you can inspect what you expect. That means that let me make sure that I check my measurements. Let me check my weight so that I can make sure that I am trending towards the 15 pounds. Let me try on those jeans from last summer that I can't fit anymore. Let me make sure, can I pull them up over my thigh? Whatever that is, inspect what you expect. Review your work. Review your pace, review your capacity. But the most important part of this introspection is to celebrate your wins. Like, I just feel like pausing right there. Here's why. Because how often have you found yourself doing something really, really well and then trying to take the modest approach? It's the team, we all did it. It was just a collective effort, Listen, it's not always the team. Sometimes it's really you. Sometimes it is your brilliance and you choose to dim your light for the sake of not making other people feel bad. And listen, that is a noble characteristic. And I have done it all the time. And I am a people builder. So I understand the importance of making sure that the collective feels like we are all coming up together. However, there are also those opportunities when celebrating your wins is an individual act of kindness. You need to acknowledge the things that you do well, and you need to make a space for yourself to celebrate that. As an entrepreneur, my business coach told me, create a win wall for yourself. So anytime you make a sale, anytime you book a call, no matter how big or how small, put that on the win wall. You may not think that it is significant today, but those things start to add up over time. And so you want to be able to see your growth. You want to be able to celebrate the light that you've been able to experience with other people. You want to be able to learn from the opportunities from the last time that you were the greatest, right? We have these moments. Every step is a new milestone, but then it's the last best thing that we've ever done. So that's really what the new measurement becomes for us. So the last greatest thing that you did is really where you need to start from. We shouldn't be going back to the beginning. And I know a lot of us will reset the clock all the time. Why do we do that? Why are we doing that? You are making the road a lot longer for yourself, because you always think that you start from the beginning. Even if the venture is new, you think you have to start from the beginning. That you don't have to do that. You do not have to start from the beginning. Keep pushing forward. Celebrate your wins. All right. Okay. So I am gonna run back the clock really quick just to make sure that you have captured all of this information. Again, start your plan by asking why. Why are we starting down this path? Why are we embarking on this new, whatever it is that we're doing? Why is it important for us to do it now? Why do we need to make sure this works? The next thing that you want to do is define your what. What is it that we're trying to accomplish? How are we going to do it? Let's start building on the goal. Remember, we want to use the SMART guidelines to build out our goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time boxed. And then we want to figure out how are we planning to execute? What's our delivery approach? How are we actually going to get this done? And then at the end of all of that, we want to take some time and reflect. What's working? Do we need to keep stuff? Do we need to reschedule stuff? Have we taken on too much work? Do we need to put some things on the shelf and revisit them later? But more important than any of this, your plan will reveal the things that you've accomplished and the areas that you shine and how you've been successful. So you need to take an opportunity and celebrate your wins. Remember, you have value, you have purpose, and make sure that you are celebrating your wins and taking care of yourself. I had so much fun talking to you today, you guys. So enjoy the rest of the conference, and we will talk to you soon.
Woo! This is the stuff of legends, guys. Fakita, you brought the house down. You brought the house down.
Hey guys,
Hi. Oh, that
I'm
was so
so
good.
I'm so happy that first of all that anything that I share with this august body that it is landing on good soil and people are receiving it and having fun with it. You know, I'm full. I
We are
thank you.
full. Thank you so much. And everyone, Paquita's here to do a Q&A with us. So if you have any questions, she shared a lot, which is incredible. I love how she went an inch wide and a mile deep. Like she got all deep, 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 deep into SMART goals. That was mind blowing. Strategize to win. What questions do you have for Paquita? As you heard, like she has a lot of experience, a lot of technical experience, a lot of like hands-on real world application experience, etc. So feel free to be as technical, as specific. If you want a sounding board on things, Paquita is the perfect person to ask specific things of. Um, so the way you can ask your questions is by typing them in the Q&A section. So you see the chat right next to it. There's a Q&A box. Type your questions in. You won't have to come to the stage, I promise. We'll just read your questions aloud, and Paquita will answer them. While we're waiting for that to queue, Paquita, I have a question for you. Or while we're waiting for the questions, plural to queue, I have a question for you. Um, what is your most recent win? And how has you have a lot of tools. How have your frameworks kind of helped you to accomplish that win?
Oh, my most recent win. So I think my most recent win is probably something more um, introspective versus something that is tangible. Um, I was toying with trying to figure out, am I completely leaving my corporate space to transition into rebuild my business too? Or, am I going to stay? And so I am a big advocate on the asking for what it is that you want. And so I had to go back to my partners and I said, I have, kind of this list of things that I want to accomplish moving forward. And I don't know if I'm 100% ready to leave, but I want to change the structure of my time that I have for you as my firm. Um, and my partner came back and his response to me was, wow, no one's ever asked us for that. So, yes, yeah, we can do that. We're
Wow.
definitely going to do that. And so it was a good reminder to myself of things that I preach and teach all the time is that, no, you need to ask. If you don't say what it is that you need, nobody will ever know. So my biggest win for myself personally was just asking to restructure the way that I show up in my professional spaces. I don't want to give y'all 40 hours anymore. I will
Yep.
give you, I will set up projects for our clients and then I'm rolling off. Somebody else will have to come in and take my place because I want space and time to exist in the world in a different capacity. So it was
Dope.
asking for what I wanted and then having them say yes without question. And I think sometimes we think that there's going to always be a lot of dialogue about our ask. Sometimes people are just like, well, dang, I didn't even know that, somebody wanted that. Yeah, I'll do it. So I asked. I asked that question.
Love, love, love that. Super dope. And especially women, right? We are, I don't know, like very afraid to be
Yeah.
rejected. But I think that's amazing that, yeah, Nina said closed mouths don't get fed. Yeah, I think it's amazing you just did it. And the answer was yeah. Congratulations on that win. So you have a lot of questions, Mama. I'll put the first one on stage. Nina asks, shout out to the A. Nina asks, can you talk to us about strategically planning self care when you are frequently dependent on the schedules of others? That's good.
Yes. Yes and yes. So in my professional calendar, even in my business calendar, and I really shouldn't differentiate by being professional because both aspects are professional, but just from a corporate perspective, I use color coding features in Outlook all the time, and so I know that there are certain designations of the day that are exclusively for me. If it's 30 minutes, and after lunch, so my lunch looks like an hour and a half, it's getting blocked off on my calendar. And I don't even allow managers or directors to conflict with that time. If they ask me, hey, are you available? Can you move this? No, I can't move this, but I can, move something else to accommodate you. Um, and the reason that I do that is simple. When you set an expectation, it's always the expectation until you change it. If you set it, you control it. But if somebody else sets it, they control it. And so I learned a couple years ago, making myself available for everybody all the time set a bad expectation that I no longer controlled, because now you have built the narrative, you've created a confidence that anytime somebody else needs you or wants your schedule, that they have access to it. And I had to start protecting myself, because, again, I have multiple clients in my profession as a consultant. So there are multiple people wanting my time, and I needed to put some boundaries around it, even if that's just 30 minutes. Even with my children, even with my husband, when he comes home from work, the first 30 minutes of him getting off work, coming home, he comes to kiss me, and then that's his time. And you have to create that space, just for your sanity. So if your personal de-stress time is your commute at home or commute from work to home, turn your phone up, turn your music up, take the long way home, but find those pockets in the day and pencil them in. I love different colors, color code them so I know my personal time is yellow. So if it's yellow on my calendar, no, you can't talk to me.
Oh, that's dope, Akita. And I love that you are sharing what you do, because if I said certain things, someone that's a mother might say, "Well, I have kids," but you just said my husband, my kids, my boss, my partners. Like, incredible, 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 and they still respected you enough and valued you enough to say, "Oh yeah, you want to work less hours?" Yes, right. It didn't diminish your
Yeah.
value at all, right?
And
So
so, and
right,
let me put a pin in that. Full transparency, because I believe in salary transparency, especially among Black women. I'm a high six-figure earner. I make $152,000 a year. My salary is not changing. Just my
dope,
time. Just my time
dope.
is changing. You have to build currency for yourself. You have
Yep,
to be in a position to show up constantly, all the time, advocating for yourself. The same way your white male, not your white female, your white male counterparts do. Take notes at what they're doing, and then you follow suit. I treat
yep.
myself as a company when I show up to work. Build currency for yourself, and they have to respect you, because that is, again, the expectation that you own. They have to follow suit.
Beautiful. And this is thought leadership, right? Salary transparency is what Pakita just called it. We do not need to have permission to share our salaries. Like, y'all, I can't say that enough. Like, stop saying, I get it, I empathize, I understand. But
Mhm.
empower each other by just saying, yeah, I make $152,000 a year. And then
Right,
somebody else is empowered to do something with that information, right?
right.
I love it. I love it. That's thought leadership, salary transparency. Keep that going, y'all. Keep that same energy. Okay, next question is coming from Samara. Samara asks, "Do you have favorite apps for planning and keeping track of milestones? My audio is fidgety, so apologies if this was covered."
It's all good. So I try to keep it simple. I know there are a number of different tools out there, that you can use. I use my Outlook calendar. I also use my weekly top 10, which is in my strategy journal. I only plan 10 priorities for the week. My planning day starts on Sunday. I have a 5-day planning week. I do not ascribe to the mentality or the thought process of planning your day, and then you're trying to top heavy your day with like 55 things. Like, who can do that? 5 things or 10 things a week, 2 things a day at best, if I get to those two. But this gives me space, this gives me freedom, and this over the course of the week, and then there's no pressure. Like, I don't want to live my life with the pressure of completing tasks. So I have my weekly top 10. There's a huge whiteboard behind me. There's a list of 10 items on that whiteboard. Um, I talked about taking, the increment, the low hanging fruit, my easy wins. Sometimes it's two, three things on that list that I could wipe out, on a Monday. And then the rest of those things that I need to accomplish, I have the remaining 4 days in my planning week. I always give Saturday to my family, and then I use Sunday to kind of set myself up for the week. And then I plan, but whatever your planning time box is, so if you are trying to plan a 7 day week, how many things can you really accomplish over the course of 7 days? And then that's what you plan for. And so anything else, and then I always tell my clients, you don't add anything to that list until something is done. Like, you don't just be putting stuff on there, oh, because my mom called and she, okay, mom, but do you have capacity? Can you demote something on the list so that you can accommodate the needs of somebody else? Because if you can't, if your plan is locked, y'all, we don't change the plan because the plan is the goal. We have to keep pushing with the things that, because if we allow other people's distractions to become our distractions, then at the end of the week, tell me what you've done. So,
That's good.
you can use any tool you want, but you just have to commit to the outcome of what you put in that tool.
Yeah. This is the stuff of legends. Like, this is thought leadership. I always say, somebody write this in the chat so y'all feel it. My productivity is not a measure of my worth. And Paquita is saying, right? 10 things a week and that's it. And if she gets done 3 on one day, she got more time for the rest. Like, that's so deep. Like, a lot of times we associate our value with how much we can get done for other people, right? And so we think we're better than somebody else if we can kill ourselves and turn it around in a day. No, why? Like, why? I love that. And you're saying you hold true to that, and it's like, no, I don't have time. I'll figure out where I can pencil you in next week. Or, I love that. Stuff of legends. Okay, so I'm gonna have 6 minutes. Y'all got some questions. I love it. I'm gonna get these in. So next is coming from Kenya Miss Top 3 herself, Jacksonville in the house. She says, sometimes I think I'm a big dreamer, but I'm also an overthinker with anxiety. So when I don't complete a goal, I'm unsure if it's because I wasn't realistic or if I just psyched myself out. What tips do you have for being realistic? That's good about your goals.
Yeah, so you asked me what tips do I have, and then you say about being realistic. So I don't have any tips. I don't have any tips for being realistic. I offer you your own empiricism. Empiricism is your own experience. Think about the last time that you wanted to accomplish something and you did it because you allowed something else to rob you of the hope and the fortitude to keep pushing on it. What happened then? Don't talk yourself out of it if you know that talking yourself out of it or overthinking it is going to keep you from attacking it. Your own empiricism really is the answer and the response that you're looking for. What happened to you in the last moment, in the last situation? I I understand the concept of giving people tips when they're asking for strategy, but strategy is really about empiricism. What did you learn from the last moment? The last thing that you learned really is the answer that launches you into the next lesson. So think about what you did, run it back. If you weren't able to accomplish it, why? When you say that you were overthinking it, what does that really mean? Were you processing it through and were you breaking things down into the lowest common denominator so you can figure out what it was that you could attack? Or were you just sitting kind of mulling over the thought and really just not wanting to do the work? Once you are able to kind of really kind of clear the dust and figure out what it is that held you back, now you have the answer. So now all you just need to do is the opposite, right?
There's so much self-love in that, Paquita. I don't even know if you realize it. Like, there's so much self-love. Like, instead of telling her she needs to be something else or do better, you told her to look within. Like, what was the last thing? What did you do? What did you take away from it? What did you do? I love that. There's so much self-love in that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and now we have a question from Jazz. Jazz says or asks, can you share your process for how to identify when you need to readjust your goal and action steps?
Yes. Years ago, I was planning to run a marathon. So, I talk a lot about me not exercising and training. I did that in my former life. I have to get back there, but anyway, I digress. Um, Part of my process to rest my muscles was to take yoga. And the yoga instructor would always tell me if there's resistance in the breath, it's not working for you. So resistance, we often think about resistance is building muscle, but resistance also works in reverse. And so sometimes if we're constantly pushing, and we're still getting the same results, or we're not seeing the results that we're expecting, maybe you need to make an adjustment. Maybe it's just the wrong timing for you to kind of go down that path. Maybe you don't have enough resources. Maybe there's some learning gaps. There could be a number of reasons why something isn't working, and it doesn't mean that it won't work. It just means that right now, maybe the timing is off. And so just promote that thing, reprioritize it, and then think about it later on when it makes more sense, and maybe when you're not so, because sometimes we add a lot of pressure and a lot of conditions on achieving certain milestones, um, and that makes it difficult because it doesn't feel like it's a natural response or a natural reaction to accomplishing whatever this is. So if there's a lot of resistance, then maybe it's just not the time to do it.
Ashe, Ashe. So much self-love in that too. This is good. We have 2 minutes until the top of the next session. I just want to take this time to give you your flowers, Paquita. That was incredibly insightful. And you gave it to us straight. And sometimes that's how love needs to be packaged, right? You gave it to us straight. Edges are gone, I think, all over the land. I can see from the questions as well, right, that you're giving people a lot to think about, and they're open, right? Like people are wanting to improve and get better. You have flowers, literal flowers, in the
Mm,
chat. So thank you for showing up for us. Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for gifting Raven. That is an angel investment. If anybody does not know that, that is what it looks like. So yeah, we're just so grateful for you, and we love you for real, Keita. Thank you so much.
I love y'all. Thank you so much, ladies.
All right, all right, y'all. We're at the 30-minute mark, so we're gonna head over to the next session. This is a TED Talk, and it is entitled "Reclaim Your Time, Sis." Reclaim your time, sis. This is coming from Taylor Drew, the systems guru. All right, I'll see y'all over there. Love and light. Bye.